evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the fourth concert of the Summer Festival of Music. Last couple of weeks, we focused on the music of Leroy Anderson and Edvard Grieg, and tonight we will largely feature the music of American composer Henry Fillmore in a concert we appropriately call Fillmore and Friends. The Mount Prospect Community Band is a program of the Mount Prospect Park District, and we are celebrating our 43rd year of making music for the community. Special thanks go out to Novak and Parker, Green White Soccer, and North Shore University Health System for supporting our concert series. The Park District has graciously provided for ice cream treats tonight from Campanaries. If you haven't gotten them yet, I think they're over there. Just raise your hand and they'll bring some out to you. Campanary Ice Cream is the combined venture of Jim and Meg Campanari and Ken and Katie Dix. Since the opening the doors in June of 2001, they have catapulted their gourmet ice cream shop to one of Illinois' most respected small businesses, earning the honor of the best ice cream in Chicago from Chicago Magazine after only 1 year from opening. Campanari Ice Cream has been featured on Good Morning America, The Today Show, and Bon Appetit magazine. Campanari Ice Cream employs over 50 young people during the high season to bring Chicago's best ice cream to the village. And we should also say thank you to Park District Cultural Arts Manager Ann Zimmerman and our sound technician this evening, Chris Lufitz, and also to the entire concert setup team for helping us out tonight. So to begin the evening, please stand if you're able, remove your hats, and join Monty Adams, our music director, as the band honors America by playing the Star-Spangled Banner.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jonathan Lehrer, and I am your program host tonight. And the first thing I want to say is this is, as you probably know, the 43rd season of the Mount Prospect Community Band. That is a lot of years, 43, and I think we should give the band a hand right now before we even start. So as we just learned, that tonight's program is all about Henry Fillmore. So a little bit about Henry Fillmore. He was born in Cincinnati, Ohio on December 3rd, 1881, and he had his last downbeat, so to speak, on December 7th of 1956. Henry Fillmore's career spanned a half century, and he seems to have set the record for writing and arranging band music. Now, if you were ever in, you could raise your hand, if you were in a junior high school band, or a high school band, or a college band, I was in all of those three, you must have played some Henry Fillmore at some point in your life because he wrote that much. So our first piece tonight is the Klaxon March. Now, klaxon, maybe some of you know what that word means. It's actually a trademark for a brand of electromechanical horns. And those klaxon horns were first fitted to automobiles and bicycles in 1908. Now, you probably know the sound that klaxon horns makes. So you can do it with me. That horn goes, auga. Could I hear that from everybody, please? Auga. Okay. Fortunately, we don't actually have a klaxon horn tonight. But he wrote this piece with the subtitle March of the Automobiles for the 1930 Cincinnati Automobile Show. And for that show, by the way, he invented a new instrument, which he called the klaxophone. It consisted of 12 automobile horns mounted on a table and powered by an automobile battery. That sounds great to me, sort of. So we don't have a klaxophone tonight either, we just have a band, and here is the klaxon. So Henry Fillmore did not just write automobile marches, though it would have been nice if he'd written a few more. In fact, he wrote several compositions, not really compositions, but arrangements of classical music that were written by other composers. So he liked to do this. He took these well-known classical composers' music and made them simple, playable, and put them in a way that a band really wouldn't have to rehearse all that much to get it right. Although this band rehearses a lot and they get everything right. You can applaud for that. So tonight we're going to hear music of Franz von Suppe. It's the Poet and Peasant Overture, and this is a transcription by Henry Fillmore. And you probably know this piece, but if you don't, you might remember it from some spinach. What spinach am I talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Spinach? Cartoons? What? Popeye, that's exactly right. So this music was used in the Spinach Overture of 1935 and Tots of Fun in 1952. And if you pay close attention to this, you may hear a little bit of I've Been Working on the Railroad nestled in there somewhere. So music of Franz von Suppe, arranged by Henry Fillmore. Jim Johnson on alto sax. Wasn't that a great solo? Jim Johnson. Now, I don't want to be like Oprah Winfrey and say that there's something underneath your seat that's valuable. So don't look under your seat, but you might want to look in your program because a few of you have, I'm told, a gold star inside the program. What does that get you? It does not get you a car, but it does get you a Park District tote bag. So if you have that gold star in your program, raise your hand, and the Park District staff, I see one over there, right there, they will come and find you, and they will tote on over and give you a tote bag. That's pretty cool, right? Good. So, you can applaud the tote bags, please. Just, you know, who else would you applaud? So now we're going to hear the next piece of music. It's called The Military Escort, and it was composed by Harold Bennett. Now let me tell you a little bit about Harold Bennett. He was born in Cincinnati, Ohio on December 3rd, 1881, and he had his last downbeat on December 7th, 1956. Let me think about that a little bit. That sounds very similar to Henry Fillmore. Why? Because Harold Bennett was Henry Fillmore. So Henry Fillmore actually composed under a lot of different names. He was a little bit like General Motors. Remember General Motors had all these brands, the Cadillac, the Chevy, the Buick, some of us remember the Oldsmobile and so forth. Those are all different brands. So Henry Fillmore used names like Harold Bennett, we mentioned that, Will Huff, Al Hayes, Ray Hall, Harry Hartley, Henrietta Hall. Don't ask me about how he pulled that off. And for some of the more demanding compositions, he used the name Gus Beans. So I don't really know what to make of all of that, except that Henry Fillmore used a lot of fake names. Probably got arrested a few times for check kiting or something like that. Here is Military Escort. Now, by now, I think you have figured out that Henry Fillmore wrote a lot of music. As a matter of fact, he wrote 250 original compositions, and beyond that, he did arrangements, 750 arrangements or so, just about that many, for band, and he wrote for hymns, and he wrote foxtrots, and he wrote waltzes, and he wrote marches, and overtures, and a lot more. So our next piece is called Lightning Fingers, and this, you will find out shortly, showcases the musical and technical virtuosity of the solo clarinet. Now, I don't exactly know what lightning fingers means, but I know that if I had a klaxon horn connected to a 12-volt battery, I don't think I would connect my lightning fingers to that, or I might not make it through the rest of the program. So our program soloist tonight is Jim Maynen, and he has been in this band since I owe you a favor for that, sorry. I believe it was 1983, right, Jim? Got that right? Okay, good. Jim is an electrical engineer, and I asked him before the program, is Millard Fillmore? Thank you, Monty. Those are my papers here. Let's start again. I said, is Henry Fillmore your favorite composer? Guess what he said? He said Aaron Copland. Good choice. Here's Jim Maynen on clarinet. Now, seriously, now you know that only an engineer could fit in so many notes into such a nice short piece. Excellent job tonight. And I think also now we know what lightning fingers means. Next piece we're going to play is called King Carl King. It's kind of an odd name for a song, but let's get into that a little bit. So this was actually written originally for a film, and the film was called The Big Brass Band. This is a terrific but little-known march that turned out to be the last thing that Henry Fillmore would actually write. He dedicated this march to his friend and fellow march composer, whose name was Carl King. So that's why he named this King Carl King. So unfortunately, Fillmore did not live to see the march published, and the movie, by the way, The Big Brass Band, was never made. However, we have the march. It's a great march, King Carl King. Henry Fillmore worked for his father's company for a while. His father was a publisher of religious music, and I guess things didn't go so great in the family, and they had an argument here and an argument there. And way back in 1905, Henry Fillmore left the company because of a particular argument that he had with his father. What was the argument? Well, it turns out you might be surprised to hear this, that Henry Fillmore was having an affair with an exotic dancer named Mabel May Jones. And his father did not approve of that relationship, and he blamed it on the trombone, which was Henry Fillmore's favorite instrument. Now, his father called the trombone a satanic instrument. Okay, believe it or don't, I got that from my researcher, Wikipedia, where I get all my information. So in this, just thinking about maybe we don't really want to annoy Henry Fillmore's father's spirit, so instead we're going to turn to the tuba instead of the trombone for a moment. And we're going to hear a piece called Solo Pomposo. Bill Kaempfe is the soloist, and just a little bit about Bill. He has been a member of this band since 1982. And he also played at one time or another with the North Shore Band and also the Illinois Brass Band. He is retired from Illinois Toolworks, where he spent 37 years. So we're going to hear this piece, Solo Pomposo. It was composed by Al Hayes. Anybody remember the name Al Hayes? I gave you that to you earlier. It's Henry Fillmore. So here's Bill and the tuba.
The trombones will have their note also, coming up soon. I want to tell you a little bit more about Fillmore's childhood. He sang in the church choir when he was a young boy. Then he got involved in the piano, and then he started fooling around on flute and violin and guitar, and then that's when he became infatuated by the slide trombone. Fillmore loved that glissando effect of the trombone. That's the slide thing. You're going to hear that in a couple of minutes. You'll know exactly what that means. And Fillmore wrote 15 pieces that use the trombones in that glissando effect. So we're going to hear now a piece called Teddy Trombone. He wrote it in 1911, and there are 3 soloists, I guess they're not soloists if there's 3 of them, who are performing that tonight. That's Carl Snyder, Paul Schluter, and Paul Kaempfe in Teddy Trombone.
I don't know about all of you, but I just can't get enough classical music. So let's talk about Bugs Bunny. So the next piece is Morning, Noon, and Night in Vienna, written by Franz von Suppe. We heard about him earlier in the program. And this is just another classical piece that Henry Fillmore arranged for a concert band. Now, just a few years after Fillmore used his composing pen for the last time, if you know what that means, the great Looney Tunes animator Chuck Jones borrowed this music, Morning, Noon, and Night in Vienna, for a Bugs Bunny cartoon. The cartoon is called Baton Bunny. You probably don't remember that, but it was out there. And you can find that on the internet. Just search for Baton Bunny and you'll find it. Here's the story. Bugs Bunny is getting ready to conduct what turns out to be the Warner Brothers Symphony Orchestra. It's supposedly at a concert at Hollywood Bowl. And when he finishes his elaborate preparation, he starts to conduct the orchestra. However, lots of problems happen. It's a Bugs Bunny cartoon, so you can imagine. Basically, there's a bothersome fly and the Bugs Bunny and the whole thing. You can look it up on the internet, Baton Bunny, and you can hear the whole story. But here's the real music for Morning, Noon, and Night in Vienna. You've been a great audience tonight. I have to tell you, the band is very appreciative of your loyalty, being here all the concerts during the summer and during the year. The band appreciates that, and the Park District appreciates it, just as you appreciate the band. So this has been a great concert tonight. I want to tell you that I think, Monty, we might have one more piece. I feel like we need another march, right? Okay, one more piece from Henry Fillmore called Americans We.